Last thing I want to cover with you is how to submit your assignment. Um, for the most part, it's pretty straightforward. Again, you have 4 different projects, but the first 2 assignments, I'm going to ask that you submit a single screenshot of both the worksheet and the chart, each on a single page. So that applies for both assignment 1 and 2, so 2 pages for each of those assignments. In the second 2 assignments, I'm asking for 3 screenshots. The worksheet, and then a worksheet section, which is a portion of a worksheet, and I'll show you how that's done. And finally, the worksheet formulas, which you can access via Control and then apostrophe in the upper left-hand corner of your keyboard. So to walk you through that, let me show you. I've made my particular spreadsheet here red, but I'm going to click on my Start menu. I'm going to use the snipping tool, and then I hit New. So I'm going to get a good screenshot of this by selecting my spreadsheet. And now I can right click and hit Copy. I can then go back over here to my Start menu and select Word and open it up and paste in my assignment. And so now I can also adjust the orientation here to landscaped to give me a little more room and make it bigger. So I'll be able to see it clearly. Again, don't use this red font. That's just so that I know that's my example. Okay, next on the expense chart, I'm going to go over here and select the snip. I can hit New and grab the screenshot of the chart. Right click and copy. Back over to Word. Paste it in. Okay, that's pretty much it for the first 2 projects on how you can enter the spreadsheet and the chart. Now for the last 2 projects, you're required to submit 3 things: a spreadsheet, screenshot of the spreadsheet itself, a selection of a spreadsheet, and the formulas. So let's walk through how to do that. First of all, we'll do the new screenshot, and we'll just get a screenshot of the spreadsheet itself like we did with the previous 2. And then I'll right click, copy, go over to Word, paste in. And now the last 2 are, put a page break in here first. The last 2 deal with printing a selection. So the assignment calls for you to select cells A3 through F16. In the next assignment, you can select any portion of the spreadsheet. You don't have to select a particular, it doesn't tell you which portion. I want you to select any portion. Then I go over to print and then go down to print selection, and you can see it's only showing the part that I've selected. Now I'm going to go grab my screenshot tool, and this is what I need to see for the assignment. I need to see that you were able to print a particular selection. So I copy and go back over here to Word, paste it in. And the last piece is for me to see the formulas that are in each spreadsheet. So I'm going to do a page break, and then we'll come back over here. To do that, you use the Control apostrophe shortcut on your keyboard, Control apostrophe in the upper left, and now you can see it's showing me every calculation that's on this spreadsheet, all the formulas. So I can adjust the size. Sometimes that can be tricky to get it just right. I'm going to play with the scroll bar here until I can get the zoom and get the whole thing in here. Once I'm happy with it, then I'm going to go ahead and go to screenshot and grab the entire screenshot showing every cell in the formulas. Copy it and paste it in. So the second 2 assignments, again, will have those 3 things: the spreadsheet, the print selection, and the formulas. Okay, that looks okay. Big enough that I can see it in each of the formulas. At the beginning of today's session, I asked you a question: is technology helping or hurting your relationship with God? And I'm encouraging you to interact with that question in the discussion post for this week on the scripture application. I'd like to explore the answer to that question with you. But before we do, let's do a quick review of our biblical understanding of technology. Dyer, in his book, defines technology as the human activity of using God's creation for practical purposes. So in that sense, and by that definition, we can see that technology is, first and foremost, it's a tool. Just like a shovel is a tool, technologies like your cell phone have the ability to transform you and come with their own value systems built into them. Also implicit in that definition is that God approves and supports technology as a whole. We can see in the scriptures the Apostle Paul, as he writes to the church, he says, I long to be with you. And he uses the technology of that time, writing, as a way to connect with his believers. Finally, we know that technology can also become an idol. It can become the chief means by which we use to create a world without God. So that's just a quick review of what we've covered so far. Let's explore it a little bit more this week. In the book, he talks about McLuhan's tetrad. What that basically states is that technology does four things fundamentally. First of all, it extends something we do naturally. It eliminates or amputates something we used to do. It retrieves something from the past. And finally, it reverses into a negative behavior when it's overused. So if we take an example like our phones and apply it to this tetrad, we have, first of all, we can see that our phones extend our ability to communicate with others and establish relationships with them. They also have the ability to eliminate the need for landlines and to be completely left alone. And they give us the ability to rekindle the ability to stay connected as we did when we lived in small villages. And then lastly, as we all know, when we use a mobile phone too much, we never deeply connect with people. So if we take that 4-point tetrad and apply it to something like the internet and see how that affects our relationship with God, first of all, it extends our ability to research scripture and connect with Christians worldwide. Certainly, the internet has a vast amount of resources out there that can allow us to deepen our relationships with both God and others. Secondly, it eliminates our ability to keep the world outside of our bedroom. So while it allows us to connect deeper with others and connect deeper with God through all of those resources, it also brings with it the world and all of its pornography and the abuses of the internet. Thirdly, it allows us to regain connections with people that we wouldn't otherwise be able to remain connected with, just as we used to be able to stay connected at a deeper level with people. And then finally, as we all know, if overused, the internet can reverse into a negative behavior. And the research out there, some of what we've been looking at in this class, shows that it can actually cause us to lose our ability for deep thinking. And in regards to that point of losing the ability for deep thinking, I wanted to share with you two quotes that are right out of the book, and I've highlighted them and shown them here, and I'm going to read them word for word because they're powerful enough that I wanted to share them with you. This is, again, from Dyer's book. He says, over time, as we cultivate the skill of scanning screens, many of us now find it more difficult to read a book word by word and line by line. Like a marathon runner, we can't bench press the 300 pounds, or a person who can bench press 300 pounds but can't run a marathon. We seem to cultivate either the skill of deep reading or the skill of scanning. This brings us to the reasons why access, speed, and interruption are important for Christians. A good portion of the Christian life requires the ability to concentrate and focus on ideas over long periods of time. Spiritual depth requires the ability to pray for more than a few minutes. to read and memorize Scripture, not search for it online, and to love God with our hearts and our minds. This means that we must be careful to cultivate and retain the skill of deeply reading and deeply contemplating the things of God, something the internet and digital technologies do not value. We cannot read deeply when we spend all of our time scanning or when we allow distraction to rule our minds. So my encouragement to you this week is to find some time. Think about the last time that you had 10 minutes alone where there was no music, no interruptions, no distractions with God, just 10 minutes. If when you have that kind of time, it will cause you to think deeper about your relationship with God and others. We need that. That's how God speaks to us. So my encouragement to you is to not let that form of or that part of technology impact your relationship with God, and get away and spend a little bit of time with Him this week. I'm here for you. Let me know if there's anything I can do either with this class or in your relationship with God. Please reach out to me if you have any questions or concerns. Again, just pleased to share this journey with you, and thanks, and have a good week. God bless.